Okay, so today's video is going to be a kind of mixed bag here. So I saw this video right here, and link will be in the description, of one of these ad post banner designs for social media. However, there's some issues here that I thought would be good for my audience to point out. So let's go ahead and do an Alt print screen on this, and we'll go ahead and click a new document. And I already know from watching the video that this was a 1080. Okay, so it's a square. And we go ahead and paste that in. We will go ahead and crop it down because we only want this part of it. In my previous videos, I went ahead and mentioned the rule of thirds, and some people have hit me up about the rule of thirds. What exactly is the rule of thirds, and why does it matter? It should be actually the guideline of thirds. Okay, so in your typical document, a lot of people will bring out their guidelines like this and like this. It comes from photography. And there's a link in the description. There's a great video that Adobe puts out about the rule of thirds. And it talks about where your eye goes as far as a layout goes. And the issue with this is that in my previous video, we did some triangles over here for a flyer. And I said, fight the instinct to want to put it directly center. And this is the reason why this ad here, I don't want to say breaking the rule of thirds, but what it is doing is it's splitting the image in half. And you don't necessarily want to do that. But here's the issue, is that when you split something in half, your eye dances from here to here to here to here to here. And that's not what we want. We want to start from up here, okay? And we want it to go down like this. What typically happens, it's called the F curve. So the F curve is, it creates an F. They've mapped the eye of what people read here in the States. Our reading makes a typical F. So we start off up here and then we work our way down. So that is what people typically want to see in a design. Well, this design, it's splitting the design in half, this side and this side. And so I would recommend that we don't necessarily do that. And we can maybe strengthen this design with just a couple of little tweaks here and there. So how do you create the rule of thirds? How do we break this into thirds rather quickly? And link in the description, I found a really great video on how to do this as well. So anyway, so here we have a box. So the first thing you do is you draw yourself a box, a rectangle. Okay, so we have our rectangle the full length, okay, or width, excuse me. And then we go down to here, our transform panel. And if you don't see your transform panel, it's up here under Studio. That's where most of them are. And I do have a custom layout that I did create by turning these on and off. And the more you get to use these applications, the more comfortable you will get with turning on the panels that you use quite frequently and turning off the ones that you never touch. And transform is one that I use quite a bit. So what we can do with this transform is we come over here to Pix, down here to its width, and we can just do divide by 3. Okay? And that takes it to a third of the page. And you can drag this over here, and you have a third of the page here. Okay? And let's grab this, and we will go from top to bottom. And we will do the height this time. We'll make sure it's 1080 and we'll divide that by 3. Okay, 1080 divided by 3. Okay, and we drag this guideline to there. And now we drag this down to the bottom. And we have our rule of thirds. Now this is a more typical grid that you want to create because according to that video by Adobe, and from what I have been taught, these are your areas that you want to put your most interesting things. that you want to lead the eye to. So I'll group those up, inside color to light gray, so they're not so dominant. And we will turn them off, and we will lock our guides. So now we have our rule of thirds. So let's say you were creating a brochure and you have a letter size and you want it wide and you want to create 3 equal columns. Okay, so here's your 8.5 by 11. So now you can draw your box, and it's on the 11-inch side down there in the transform box, and we do /3, and this just gives you a 3-column layout. Now what I typically do with this is I will come in about 1/4 inch, 0.25. I come in about 2.5, okay? And then on this side, you can come in about 2.5 on that side, about 2.5 on that side, and this should give you your 3-column layout for a brochure. That easy. And then your top to bottom, you can decide what your margins are, and then you can lock your guides. And now you have a 3-column brochure that quick. Okay, you could even bring in your guides to 1/2 inch if you wanted, or 0.35 or whatever it is. Okay, and it's that easy to create a third layout just by coming down here in the transform box and dividing by 3. I think it's really slick. So here you go. You have your rule of thirds, and we've got our guides locked. Okay, and we will start bringing in some of our assets. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a buy one, get one, and then I will do 50% savings, something along those lines. Okay, so I'm going to change that up a little bit. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now I'm going to keep the headline the same. Tasty, healthy food. And I'm going to go ahead and brand this as well, so we'll keep that up there for now. And I will go ahead and do the last of my text here. I will do start saving. Okay, and that'll be our button text. So we'll put that down there. Okay, buy one, get one, tasty. And then I will go out to the web, and I'm going to go to my lorem ipsum generator, do 1 paragraph, generate. Okay, I'm going to copy, bring it back over here, and I will paste. Actually, I'm going to undo that. And this time I am going to do frame text, and we'll just put it here, Control V. And you can see the first issue. And what is the first issue? That's a lot of text. That's the first issue. So we'll take that down to half, and we'll set it off to the side here. We'll set this off to the side, start saving. So we moved all of our assets off the page. We'll just leave these all right here. Now let's bring in our photo assets. So here you go. You have your rule of thirds, and we've got our guides locked. Okay. So the first thing I would do is I would, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to put the text in a group. We talked about the importance of grouping layers. We'll take them out as we need them, call that text, and we will now create our shape. Now you don't have to fall directly on this side of the column for your image. You can break the plane, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to hit the center mark. So maybe splitting the difference, and you don't necessarily want to hit the center mark here. I would go past it a little bit just so we break that plane. And I would create another rectangle, and I'm going to turn on my rounded corner tool, and I'll round my corner. That's a little tall for me. Bring this down. That looks pretty good. There you go. And I will turn on my quarter round tool, make it a little bit rounder. There you go. We'll do that. And I do want that on top because I am going to fill it with a color. I'll just fill it with black for now. And this is going to have an image placed in it. So let's go ahead and get that image, and let's go to Unsplash. And I just did Pasta Bowl, and you can pick any one you like here if you're following along. I went ahead and grabbed this one, and I have that in my assets folder. There it is. So we will grab this, and we will reduce that. So let's bring this in, put it on its own tab, and we can, I think I'm gonna, first of all, unlock it, and I think I'm gonna crop it. I just don't need that much on the bottom, I don't think. And I'm gonna do a Control C, and I'm going to do a Control V. I'm scrolling out, holding down Control, highlight with my Move tool, size it down, okay? And we can drop that inside of our shape just by dragging the layer down. And that looks pretty good. I want to size it down a little more. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab this green here, okay? And we'll turn our curve that green, okay? We can turn off guides so we can see what we're doing, okay? And we can grab our text. So let's grab our tasty but healthy. We'll drag that in, okay? I'm gonna bring it to the top. Bring these to the top, okay? There's our headline, okay? And it was pretty good size. That's a 32. Maybe we can get a 36 out of it. And we can go to Montserrat. I'm just going to do Montserrat again today. It just makes it easier. I want to switch this to a bold. Okay. And I want to bring in the kerning or tracking. So I want to do a -65. That brings it nicely in. Okay. Let's turn on our guides and let's put our headline closer to our rule of thirds there because we want healthy to be right in those crosshairs right here. Healthy. And I'm going to turn this all green. Okay. And I'm going to turn this, let's see, take a look at this bacon color. Give myself another color here. There you go. Okay. Let's also bring in our leading. And I'm not afraid to have letters overlap each other a little bit. It depends on the design and it depends on if it works. This is a little small, so I'm going to bring this down a little bit. I'm going to bring this up here like that. Okay. Because I'm going to bring in the second greatest thing you can say in an ad. Okay. Does anybody know what the first one is? Anybody? Anybody? The first greatest thing that you can say in an ad is free. Free is one of the best things that you can say in an ad. Let's crank that up to, that's a little big. We don't want to go bigger than the headline. So let's do a 28, but we do want to do a bold and then Control A and let's make it Montserrat. Okay. And my pro tip from my other video, you highlight just the single line and it brings up the single line. Let's take this to a 21. Let's go 19, Control A. What we want to do is we want to do the kerning to a -35. That works. Okay. Buy one, get one. Right. We can drop that in the green. Okay. Can come a little away from the edge. Okay. That's not too bad. I actually think I want to make this a little bigger. Okay. Which means I want to make this a little bigger. And let's highlight this, take it off the page. Okay. You can stretch this a wee bit. Wrong tool. Okay. What are we? Negative. I'm going to try a -80. Still legible. Still looks good. Okay. So that looks pretty good. This is a little big for me. So let's try maybe a 17, 18. Bring it up. Maybe we can go to a 32 on this. 32. Let's drop it down. That looks pretty good. Let's go to a -40 on the kerning. Drops that in a little. Buy one, get one, 50% savings. Okay. Tasty, healthy food. All right. We got something going here. Now, what I also wanted to do is I want to take this layer and I duplicated it and I want to rotate it. Okay. And I want to drop it down here to the corner like that. But that's a little too tall and I want to go a little bit wider. So I want to come here with it and I want to come down with it. So we take our node tool, highlight these two nodes, bring them up, and we highlight these two nodes, bring them over, take our move tool, snap them to the corner. Okay, now that's a little heavy. So what can we do? Let's drop that down to 7 because we want something there, but we don't necessarily want it to dominate the space. I think 10 works. I also want to fill the whole background, kind of get that greenish tint going. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So we'll fill the whole space with that green, but we will put it in the background, okay, down at the bottom here. And we will make that 5%, 10%. That kind of works. Okay, that kind of works. All right, let's make this a little smaller. I can't bring it down, so I kind of have to live with it as is. Okay, so that's turning out nicely. Okay, now let's talk about another interesting part now that we're here. And let's get it under tasty, healthy food because it's going to go right here. Let's bring it in. Now, some of you may already know what I'm going to say. You've been watching my channel. Okay, we'll take it down to a 10. The leading is at a 10. Okay, and we will go ahead and bring in the kerning to a negative 30 or tracking. Okay, but what am I going to say? Say it with me. Too much text on the page, which is mistake number 2 that a lot of students make. A lot of clients make this mistake too, and you're going to be constantly battling with your client, or they want to put, Wikipedia on it. It doesn't matter. Clients are going to be constantly fighting with you when it comes to how much text that you should be putting on the page. So you're going to be constantly having to fight this battle, especially in spaces like this. Marketing people are notorious for trying to fill it. So at most, I would do something like that. For example, I would say, check out the season's best foods. That's it. But that's not going to be enough for some marketing people. And I'm only 10 point. If I go to a 12 point, take this up to an 11, okay? Now I have to move my headline, turn on my guides, and now I'm out of the rule of thirds, which may not be bad because we're still in the ballpark, okay? But I would not recommend doing this. So that was when I said that the second common mistake that my students make, and marketing people and clients, is they put too much text on the page. Don't be afraid to rewrite something. I cannot tell you how many times I've rewritten something for a client and they thought it was better because it fit my design. So don't be afraid to be creative in that regard. Now we have green and we have orange going here from the photo. Okay, let's bring in our logo. Okay, and let's bring into our call to action. And that would be what this ad is really all about, is the call to action. Take my curve tool, let's curve them both. Now, that's a lot of green on the page. And I think I'm going to copy this right here. Oh, wait, do I have that text? Let's check our text. Yep, start saving. So let's bring that up above our button. Okay, and we'll drag it here. We'll make it white. Turn it to Montserrat. Okay, what size is that? 12 point is good. And we can center this up. And I think I can bring this in. So we highlight the button, highlight the text, and we can center that up. That's a little tight. Drop it down to a 10. And you know my little trick. We can capitalize it. And let's bring in the kerning or the tracking down to a 40. I kind of like that. Although this is a lot of green right here in the middle of the page along with the headline. So what I recommend we do is let's go ahead and grab this color here. Figure out what that color is. Copy. Okay, we'll head over to one of my other favorite tools. We'll go to coolers and we'll paste this in. Okay, and we'll lock that. Okay, that's locked. And let's find a different color to make our button because we want it to pop. Let's go undo. This gold is nice. So let's lock that and keep looking. I like this mint, but is that too? I don't know. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Let's do a copy on that. Let's come over here and let's open up our button here. Double click, V, enter, voila. Let's get rid of the stroke. That pops. And that is what you want to pop. You want that to pop because that's what this is all about, is this right here. Is now we're going from top to bottom, left to right. And this is what they call the F curve because it creates an F, how we read from top to bottom, left to right. If we look at the other ad, it doesn't really do that. It kind of breaks things up. You're bouncing here, you're bouncing here. It just kind of, your eye is bouncing, okay? And part of graphic design is to communicate, okay? It's not only to make it look presentable, It's really to communicate your ideas in a very concise fashion. Okay, now let's go ahead and put our logo in. So I'll go back to my assets here. I just grabbed this. I just did a search for food, transparent food icons. It's not really a logo. I'm just doing it for this project. Okay, because I thought we could put this down here. I like that. So let's take this, Control C, Control V. Okay, and we'll call it, I don't know, East West Foods, I guess. East West Foods. And I think we can do what I like to do. We can drop this down to a regular, and let's switch it to Montserrat, which this one is not. Switch this to a Montserrat. Okay, and I don't want it bold. I can do a semi-bold. I would strongly urge my client to not put it in. I would turn on my guides, put the healthy smack dab in our rule of thirds, and I would bring this up. And I would make this, I'm going to switch this black to a charcoal gray. Okay, and we will make this, actually, you know what? Let's make the whole thing just charcoal gray so I don't, and we can make the icon. And I want to come up here to layer. I want to add a new adjustment layer, and I want to recolor it. So we'll grab the recolor layer. I kind of want to make it that kind of darky orange. So a little bit more like that. That's close enough. Okay. That'll be our logo. Drop it down. Center it up. Okay. Control J. Drop it down to 9. Let's zoom in so we can see what we're doing here. We don't need it to be bold, regular. Let's do making food. Okay, Control A, -40. Okay. Actually, we'll do a 9, but what we'll do is we'll turn it down to a 60, 40. There we go. And let's tuck it up a smidge. Grab them both, group it, drop it down. Nope. I'm gonna need, because I'm a little tight here, let's just drop the really for this particular demo. We love making food, right? Let's drop this down a smidge. I need the website address, so let's copy this, Control J, eastwestfoods.com. And we will drop this down to an 11, 9. Okay. That's a lot of east-west down there. So, all right, let's do this right here on the line here. Our rule of thirds right there, right? And let's drop this down. Highlight all 3 of these and flush them left. We can drag it over like that. Close that gap a little. But maybe we can do this. And we can maybe raise this up. There you go. Turn on our rule of thirds. That 50% I kind of wanted right around here. See, now we're telling a story, but we're missing something here. So what can we do? I know what. Check this out. So let's get our pencil or a pen tool, and we'll hold down Shift, and we'll make one of those arrow chevrons. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to color it the same color as the button, but I'm going to turn it way down to like a 10% to make it subtly there. So now we're telling a story. We have our headline. Here's what we want you to do. Here's where you're going. Here's the company. Here's a bonus. Go. So this is what I would do if I were doing an ad like this. I wouldn't necessarily split my frame in half. I have found that you get better results with rule of thirds. So just something to keep in mind. And it's really easy to split your piece, your size of your piece, into thirds rapidly. And we showed you how to do that. So All right. Well, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun doing it. I always have fun doing these. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It helps out a ton. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by. You have a good day. All right. Take care.